Hello everyone, I'm Paulino and I'm glad to see your lovely faces again. I hope you guys have been doing great and getting ready for Christmas. As you can see, things changed a bit around here. So we just moved into this new apartment and now I have my own studio space to record my videos. What I want to talk about today is that one of the first things we learn when we start doing any kind of art is that references are extremely important. And I'm sure you're all tired to hear that, but how do we break down and understand these references? And from a texture point of view, how do we decide what kind of masks or textures we're going to use? In my career, one mistake that I keep making is to assume that I know from memory how materials and textures are in real life. And you've probably done the same thing. Just think about it. How many times you thought you knew exactly how a wood pattern looked like until you checked your reference and you realized that you were far from it? That's why today I want to start a new section on my channel where I bring interesting reference photos and I break them down with you. My goal here is to do my best to explain how I would texture an asset like that in a production environment, which maps and what kind of workflow I would use, and etc. I hope you can use this as an exercise for your own projects. I think this planning stage is a great practice for us to sharpen our eye for details. And the best thing is, it doesn't really matter what software you use. It's all about building up our observation skills, okay? And for this video, I chose this beautiful 15th century crossbow I found on the Met Museum website. This asset is great not only because it has a great history behind it, but it also gives us a nice range of materials and textures to explore. And before we begin, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with your friends. Your support is truly appreciated. Okay, thank you. Okay, everyone. So here I'm at the Met Museum website. It's metmuseum.org, and that's where I found all the references that we're going to be using today. If you don't know this website, your head's going to explode when you go through it because there's so many good references, especially if you're creating assets for if you have a fantasy character and if you have weapons and stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of high-res images here that you can explore. So yeah, just take a look at these images afterwards. You're gonna love it. So what I did, I just downloaded all these high-res images. This is a public domain piece, so I was able to download everything here and put into my PureRef mood board here. So what I did, I just separated into full, mid, and close-ups. So my goal today is to go through these images. I'm going to start here on my left side. By the way, I'm using PureRef. I'm sure that's a lot of you guys use this software already. It's a free software. It's great for references and mood boards. It's great because you can scale things up and down. You can press space to go full screen and just go like this. It's a neat software. I left the link in the description for you to take a look. I'm going to start here by going through these images. And what I want to do, let me go back to this one. I want to see the full crossbow first. Let's imagine here that we are working on this asset. We just received this asset from the modeling department and we got all these images, and our lead or supervisor said, hey, we gotta deliver a high res. This is a hero asset. We're gonna get pretty close to it, so we gotta match it exactly. So what I would do, the first step would be to identify the materials that I see here. And in this scenario, let's imagine that we are working with a look dev artist, and we probably gotta give him our texture maps. And one thing I like to do, of course, is to talk to the artist and ask him what he wants. And most of the time, look dev artists would ask you to isolate the main materials if they're not already isolated in the model. But I like to create isolation masks anyway for my texture workflow. So that's what I'm going to do here now with you. So I'm just going to use this pencil thing. I'm sorry, it's the first time I'm using this, so I'm sorry if it looks a bit funky, but this is a pretty neat drawing thing. Oh, that's cool. I can change my colors. Hey, yay. Okay, sorry about that. Let me clean this up. Okay, so let's isolate the main materials that we see. So I see We have this metal. The metal is also here. And then I will probably isolate this main piece that I see here. And we have the wood, right, which is the main object. And we also have some areas. Let me select blue. No, not blue. Yeah, yellow. So we also have this horn. These pieces, I think, are made of horn, like an animal horn or something. And then we have this rope piece here as well. Anyway, yeah, this rope piece. So let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 materials here. And I would probably create some isolation masks for each one. And that would be extremely helpful for my own workflow, but also if I'm working with someone else and they ask, hey, can you isolate this piece for me, whatever. So yeah, cool. So that's the first thing. I would just isolate these main materials. And the other thing is, if you were responsible for the UVs for this asset, I think it would be a great idea to separate these pieces into separate UDIMs, into different UDIMs. It will make your life easier to create selections. But if that's not the case, you can always create a material ID in Substance or Mari, whatever, just to help you speed up this process. Okay? And so the second thing I want to do is to identify areas that we would create a displacement or request a displacement from the modeling from the modeler or from the modeling department. Here, I can see right away, if we go into the close-up views, we have this ivory. I guess it's ivory, right? It's made of this horn areas, and it recesses. It's pretty deep. So this is the kind of detail that it would probably work. I think you can work with the modeler and ask him to, maybe you can give him a mask. You can create a mask in Photoshop and give him to do it in ZBrush, or you can do it yourself. It would depend a lot on the workflow. But the nice thing is we have so many close-up images that it will be pretty straightforward to just draw a mask and then bring this into ZBrush and then just create a nice sculpt for this area. And one thing that a lot of people ask me is, okay, how do I know that I should be using a displacement map or a bump map or a normal map? Well, the rule of thumb for us, if you're working in film, which is a bit different from games, is we usually use bump and displacement maps. Bump map, it's usually like anything that will not break the surfaces. So in this case, if you see a bit of the wood pattern here, right? It doesn't necessarily break the surface. It's just something that would help us break the speck and the gloss. So I would probably add this to my bump map. But if you have something a bit more extreme, like if you have like some chipped areas, maybe something that breaks the silhouette of your model, then I would add in a sculpt pass or a displacement map. And again, it depends. Sometimes you get this from the modeler. They give you a sculpt pass already. But if not, you can do it yourself and then just bring it to Substance or Mari and do your thing. For example, here you can see that this pattern, it has, I think it goes a bit inside, but I would probably add this to the bump map because it doesn't break the surface that much. So I think it would be okay if you just keep it in the bump. But yeah, stuff like this, like you see here how it's not a perfect line. I think this is where we we make things look a bit more realistic is just by avoiding sharp lines, right? Nothing's extremely sharp. You can see that there's some sort of slight variation to the silhouette, and that's when a sculpt pass is it's quite important to help us achieve photorealism. And also here, you can see how these ropes, they're not flat, right? You have a lot of nice variation here. I would imagine that this would probably be sculpted in, but if not, you can also do your own displacement to achieve this kind of result. Okay, yeah, so yeah, the second thing that we did and that I usually do is just identify areas that check with the model department if they gave you, and if you need to create your own displacements. This is something to keep in mind for sure. And the third thing, so after we identified areas that we need displacement maps, or we're going to request modeling to do something for us, the other thing I like to do is to look through my references and find areas that we can extract masks from. And this is a great example because if you look at the close-up view, you can see all these patterns and all these inscriptions that we have. And if you were to create this procedurally in Substance Designer, or I don't know, like if we are matching something in production, we don't want to make something that looks similar to this. We want to make sure that we match exactly, right? We're matching this 1-to-1. And sometimes depending on how close you're getting, let's say if you're getting this close to an asset, you got to make sure that all this floral patterns are matching. Again, we are lucky that if you have an asset and you get all these references, you're lucky. You're a lucky bastard, because it's not always the case that you get references that are this good. Sometimes you only have a few images and you just have to be creative on how you develop this texture. But in this case, what I would do, I would probably find flat images that are a bit more flat, like this one, and I would probably generate some masks in Photoshop or any editing software you have. I would probably create masks that I can project and put into areas that we don't see it that much. Yeah, I think you can easily extract the mask here. If you bring it to Photoshop and just use color range, you can create a nice mask for these floral patterns. Another thing you can do, if you're using Mari, you can project this into your object and then there's a node called color range to mask in the extension pack that you can just project and then isolate this using that node. This is also another trick you can use. Yeah, there are many different workflows you can use really, but yeah. And then it would be a lot of manual work to go over and then find all these details and then isolate them, creating masks, just so we have all that, so we can start working with it. That would be my next step. It's just identify areas that, like this one is also a good example where you would just create a mask and then you can just project later on. What else we have here? Yeah, a lot of nice details here. And even things like, let me go here. So even this kind of wear and tear, you can easily create a mask and project later on. Like here, you can just create a mask and then project. So we can create this reveal here. Let me use my... Yeah, so here you can see, let me bring a different color. You can see all these patterns. So we can just create a mask so we can project it later on. Yeah, this is all great. Because again, all the kind of detail that you can extract from your reference, that will be quite valuable later on. This is something that sometimes I caught myself going too procedural with some assets, and sometimes it's good because, just speed things up a bit. But sometimes when you're trying to match things one to one and you have good references, just extract as much as you can from it. First of all, because it's going to match right away, so you don't have to guess things. And then, so just so you don't waste your time trying to match this kind of details. So we already talked about isolating our materials. This is the first step. And then we found areas that needed displacement or bump. And then we found areas where we can isolate masks from. We talked about the floral patterns and damage, wear and tear. Oh yeah, this is a great one. Yeah, you should definitely look at this. Yeah, look at that. Look at all that detail. That's perfect. Okay, sorry. The last thing I would do, it's also to identify what kind of damage masks I would need. Here I can see right away I have a nice, I have all this grime, especially in this area, because if you imagine I'm putting the arrow here, it's probably get quite worn out, and then you have a lot of grime and dirt around this area. So I like to think about, okay, what kind of damage I need. I'll probably have in this asset, I'll probably need a pass of scratches, especially on this metal. I can add some scratches here, dirt, and then some grime. But honestly, I think the grime and the dirt, it will be mostly like in this area. So if you created a displacement map, right, and I created a mask for this guys, the dirt and the grime mask will be quite easy because since you already have the mask for this, you can just use that to isolate all that detail into these recessed areas. I think that's pretty much it. This is the kind of breakdown that I like to do. Most of the time, this kind of breakdown, I do it in my head. I don't spend a lot of time doing it. It's just like something that you get with experience. You just stop for a bit, go around all the images that you have, all the references you have, and then see, okay, I'm going to need this. I might need that. And then also, I like to talk to my look dev artist or, just talk to my look dev artist and ask him or her what they need, what kind of masks can help them with their workflow. Or if I'm doing the look dev, it's just nice to think ahead and know exactly what I need. And of course, these things are going to change. All the things we discussed today, this is just like, we're just guessing, right? Later on, we might need more or less depending on the workflow and what we're doing. So that was it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a blast with this new format. I think it's a great practice to just bring different references and talk about different workflows that we can use. I think this is a great practice for me as well, because like I said, sometimes we just think we know how materials and textures are in real life, but only when you stop and you look and you analyze things, that's when you learn how they are, right? And again, it's a great practice for me. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Let me know in the comments what kind of reference you're interested in seeing in a future texture breakdown. Maybe you're working on a project and you don't know how to texture something. Just send me an email or a message on Instagram and I can maybe do it here on the channel, okay? And one more thing, I'm taking a break from the channel during the holidays just to recharge, organize my new place. And I just want to thank you so much for your support with this channel. It's been great. I've been having a blast with it. So I hope you guys have a great Christmas break. Happy New Year's, and enjoy, drink, don't drink too much. Maybe, okay, maybe, yeah, 2020. Maybe we need to drink too much. Yeah, I need to drink a lot. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, let's drink a lot. No, okay, this is not a good advice. Okay. Don't drink. Okay, let's do this again.